Hello, everyone. This is Gwendolyn Bork, the president of Focus for our Community Unity and Support with the Lancaster Depew Addiction Prevention Coalition. And this is our 2022 to 2023 Addiction Prevention 101 series. And we do this every year throughout the September to June school academic year. And we give a generalized education on the strategic prevention framework, which is a federal model that we use here at the coalition that's been really the model that has been proven to be effective for community level change. And as we go through this on a year-to-year basis, on a general level at our actual meetings on a month-to-month basis that are in person and being provided by the Western New York Prevention Resource Center, this particular video series is where we go a little bit deeper and give more specifics on what exactly we're doing here at Focus to follow along with that actual training and how it applies using the federal model that we know. So this month we're talking about planning. This is going to be part one of a two-part series. And if you don't know what exactly we've already talked about at this point, please go back and look at all the rest of our videos. The 7 strategies for community level change. That's a great way and great place to start. So let's get into it. Every year, as part of our federal grant process, so this was a 5-year federal grant that we received, and every year we have to reapply to get continued support, right? So the CDC monitors our grant, and they want to make sure that we are delivering on our objectives based on the money that they're providing us, right? So we are given basically the goals, and the goals are twofold, right? And these don't change. Goal number 1, create community collaboration. So that goes without saying, we have to do that. And then goal number 2 is to reduce youth substance use. So based on our data that we collected when we submitted this grant originally, and before we were awarded, the 2 main substances that we saw from the data that we had issues with in our youth ages 13 to 18, so grades 8 through 12 that we survey, it was basically alcohol and marijuana. So those are the 2 substances that we are focusing on as this 5-year grant has continued to unfold. But like I said, every year we have to create an action plan. Basically, it's like a business strategic plan on an annual basis that outlines our goals, and then it outlines our objectives to those goals, and then our strategies around that, right? So if we have our goal, so I'm going to give you guys like a little look into what we do, right? And we've already talked about the strategies that we have to use. So if you need a quick little reference on that, on the 7 strategies, you can go to our website for ourcommunitytoday.org and look under the research tab, and the sub tab would be prevention science research. So that's research, prevention science. You go on there and you'll see the 7 strategies that we have to utilize as part of this framework to be effective. So every year I have to create this action plan, with my staff and our members, and we have to assign tasks to these particular people that are a part of my coalition or part of the main hub of who we are. And then we set deadlines and dates, right? So our grant runs from September to September annually. And these are the goals that we have on an annual basis. So one of them would be to objective 1, to increase community collaboration, is to increase the number of parents engaged in the coalition by 2 people by September 29th of 2023. So by the fall of this year, we track how many parents we have engaged with us every quarter. We have to report back to the CDC saying, hey, this is how many parents we have engaged, youth, all the 12 sectors of the community that we work with. We have to report on who's active, who's dormant, who kind of is and not is. So, and then we have our volunteers and people that support us in those particular sectors. We have a list of those people, and then we track, okay, how are we doing? And we struggle with parents really being involved. They're, and think about it, they're busy. They got a lot going on. So if they're raising their kids, they're working, they're driving their kids around to sports and, maybe dance or whatever else they have going on. So, and then they maybe they finally get involved, but then their kids graduate and they're moving on to college, and it's a whole other set of things, right? So having parents and youth engaged are always a reciprocal kind of process, or we're always looking at trying to gauge them always every month more and more and more. So if that's our objective, our strategies, we always have to do 2 strategies to support the objective of increasing parents' engagement. So one of the things that we do is we present at the 9th grade mandatory parent freshman seminars. So not us technically, but our partners do, right? So who's there? Your school SROs and your prevention providers. It's going to be Kids Escaping Drugs or the Erie County Prevention Council. So I'm pretty sure the way that the contracts roll out, it's like the Erie County Prevention Council, they do the freshman seminars for Depew High School, and Kids Escaping Drugs, they do the talk for Lancaster, but the organizations do interchange and work together. So we provide all the literature and flyers and information on us so that all the basically the materials they can hand it out to the parents that day were included in that. We're talked about it from our prevention providers in hopes that, hey, we're the local resource for your school district. Please engage with us, work with us. We'd love your help, right? So that's one way to maybe increase those parents. And then we do 4 outreach events per year. So one every quarter. Anything we could do to get the parents involved. Hey, we just did an escape room, AKA, mystery room event at 5 Wits at the Galleria Mall. It's parents and kids. So we encourage the parents, hey, come with your kids. This isn't like drop your kid off. I mean, we get it though, if parents are busy. So we do have a lot of kids that will come with their friends or whatever, but to have the parents come with us and come with their kids and have an opportunity to bond with their kids and to get to know who we are, that's another way that we could potentially do that. Providing information is one of the 7 strategies for community level change. You can't change a community if they don't even know about you, if they don't even know that you exist. Another strategy would be to provide data and focus group data, whether it's big data, like we used to be called PNE surveys, now they're called Clyde surveys, but basically it's a federal survey that surveys our students every 2 years from 8th to 12th grade, just on, perceptions of drug use, risks of that, how their parents perceive it, their friends perceive it, maybe even protective factors. Are they a part of any clubs? And maybe what kind of substances have they used or have they seen their friends use, over the past 30 days? So we take that quantitative data because it's all quantity, but it's high level. And then we get our qualitative data like focus groups and key informant interviews. We get that, we gather that information, and we provide it to the parents. So again, another way for parents to understand who we are and potentially get engaged. So by providing that information, where are we going to do it this time? We do it annually at our town hall. And then we also would provide it at any time, throughout that leading up to it and whatever. So you're going to see like activities, who is responsible and by when. So I'm giving you guys as like just a generalized example, but inside, who is responsible, these are the people that are involved in getting that particular action item done, that activity done. So trust me, it takes all hands on deck to get the materials out to our prevention providers. So we have volunteers working with us with that. We have to work with the schools to make sure that they are aware that, hey, maybe we're dropping stuff off at the school for their prevention providers. The SROs are involved, right? Making sure they're aware. So that would be law enforcement and substance use prevention agency. That's a youth serving, provider, right? So that's another sector that's involved. We have to coordinate with them. So those are the people that are involved. And then that's the date that we have to do it by. So, just a quick little overview, right? So that's maybe just one little piece. We do a lot, same type of thing for youth, same thing, right? Provide information. We find them, we recruit them to come to events, that's how they get to know who we are, the kind of things that we're doing, how they can volunteer. Same thing, just to get just two more youth by September 29, 2023 engaged. It's been a struggle since COVID-19 and the world has really changed. So that's one thing. And then some kind of examples of, what it looks like to be able to reduce the youth substance use. An objective there would be to decrease the past 30-day usage of alcohol of students grades 8 through 12 by 2%, measured by which would be now called the Clyde Survey, by January 2024. So it sounds very specific, right? Well, yeah, because it has to be. What do we want to do? We want to decrease past 30-day usage. It's a data metric that we can measure. We know we can measure it because we are surveying students 8 through 12. So that's our demographic. We're going to measure it by 2%. So our goal is 2%. We're going to measure that by the next survey, which is going to happen by January of 2024. So this next academic year, it's time again for us to survey all the students between Lancaster and Depew. So we know what our first data point is. We know who that demographic is and the metric, the 30-day usage. And then we're going to look to reduce it by 2%. And we're going to verify that and validate that or not, right? But whether we've met that goal or not, by the next round of data that will be completed by January 2024. So it usually happens in the fall. We get that done by January 1st, right? So that's our objective. And then one of our strategies would be to provide support by creating opportunities through alternative alcohol-free activities. That's called pro-social involvement. Again, provide support. So provide information, provide support is another another strategy, seven strategies for community change that again applies back to this federal strategic framework model. How do we do that? Well, we plan and we host an alcohol-free family event at Erie County Fall Fest. We're there every year. We do a scavenger hunt for the little kids, right? We get youth involved to volunteer. We do a music event, like a music festival at Como Park every year. That's another thing. We average about 100 youth in our direct local community that not only come, but volunteer for that particular event. So by providing pro-social involvement, that's how you do it, right? So we have those dates on when those things are due. And then another strategy to back up this objective of reducing alcohol use by 2% is to change consequences and provide information to retail stores who sell alcohol, right? So this one's a little trickier because you're going to see it's more involved. So there's a lot of little step-by-step processes that have to do with the overall goal of implementing this main one. But what do we have to do first? Okay, well, first we have to create a committee to do a scan of, local retail stores. Do we know of any stores like convenience stores or gas stations that have sold to kids before, right? Or have gotten busted by compliance by the police before in the past? So we work with ourselves, we work with law enforcement, we work with the National Guard, we work with businesses. So those are who would be responsible for that. The second part would be, by May 31st, we're getting ready to do, we would plan and execute 2 sting operations with undercover sheriffs to buy alcohol as a minor. So what do we need? We need government, we need law enforcement, we need our coordinators to make sure everybody's on the same page. By June, we're going to meet with the people that failed and offer them tips training. So that's law enforcement, that's parents, that's government, everybody needs to be involved to at least provide the support that they're going to need, right? And then the ones who did pass, we're going to give them a certificate for responsible serving. Like, thank you for doing a good job and doing what you should be doing. You're protecting our youth from drinking, right? So that would be a strategy for alcohol. So basically, for today, as part as this planning part 1 of our Addiction Prevention 101 series, I just want to show you the very specific way that we have to write our goals, our objectives, our strategies, very smart goals, right? Very time-based, very relevant, attainable, trackable. And in part two, I'll show you how we actually summarize that to kind of break it down into an easier, more digestible outlook and agenda for us to follow, like a time frame, a timeline for us to follow when it comes to meetings and getting people involved so that they're not getting overwhelmed by this, but hey, by this date I need this help. Who can help? And we'll talk about that next. So for everybody that knows who I am, again, I'm Gwendolyn Bork. I am the president of Focus for our community unity and support, the Lancaster, Depew, New York Addiction Prevention Coalition. And this is the conclusion of planning part one for the Addiction Prevention 101 series. So if you want to get involved, please contact us at forourcommunitytoday.org, forourcommunitytoday.org. We're always looking for help, always looking for support. It's not always about, even just if you can't help and volunteer, then maybe you could help in other ways and provide resources and support in alternate type of areas. So if you're interested in making a difference for the youth in their future in our community, good